Time for another very special edition, our new innovation challenge. And I'm Oliver Katz, the conference producer. So I'll just wait a couple of moments to make sure that everyone's loaded in. I'm sure they have. Great. So obviously, after the amazing success of our March Innovation Challenges, we at Rethink are really, really excited to launch two new challenges as part of our new Alternative Protein Summit in June. And this time round, we have partnered with two very long-standing pioneers within plant-based, one a leading CPG and the other a global ingredient innovator. And each have launched separate innovation challenge that are in both their own right crucial for the continued and progressive adoption of plant-based eating. So, before it was all trendy, Quorn, they've been fighting the good fight for meat-free eating, and its revolutionary story is definitely far from finished. It grows each day as they develop new meat-free meals that continue to do good for people and planet. So we're really, really excited about partnering with them on this. And then obviously Roquette as well, a global leader in plant-based ingredients and a pioneer of plant proteins. So in collaboration with its customers and partners, the group addresses current and future societal changes by unlocking the potential of nature to offer the best ingredients for food, nutrition, and health. So really, really excited. Two brilliant companies to be kind of leading the charge in this new space. So in terms of the schedule today, we're going to kick off with a 20-minute discussion around innovation priorities for the next year, followed by presentations from Simone and Adam from Quorn, and then Sergio from Roquette to frame these challenges and hear a little bit more about the work they're doing in these areas. We'll then wrap up with a 15-minute chat discussing what each company is looking for in the startups, the prizes that they are offering, and how they normally work with external partners. We'll also provide some final details about applying and the process, and how we're going to be shortlisting companies to present then at our June event. So as always, I'll be taking some live questions from you, the audience, throughout the next hour. So please post your questions in the Ask a Question section located to the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Obviously, lots have been posted already. So, thank you very much for those. You can also upvote any questions that you like the sound of. And obviously, the more upvoted the question, the more likely I will ask it. We also have, So obviously, without further ado, please feel free to also comment in the section and encourage any productive conversations, or just, cheer on the speakers. And if you do experience any technical issues, please comment in that chat and one of my team will be able to assist you there. But without further ado, I'm very delighted to welcome from the Quorn team, Simone Sheehan, the Head of Consumer and Sensory Science, and Adam Kimsley, the Head of New Product Development. And then from the Roquette team, Sergio Neves, who is the Head of Open Innovation. Welcome to you all.
Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you for having us.
Great to have you. So I just thought, just to set the stage as a kind of a top level overview, I thought I'd start maybe first with you, Adam and Simone. What are some of the biggest challenges that you're experiencing in your organizations at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good question, Oliver, and a good place to start. I think, first of all, not just Quorn, but all meat-free companies are trying to wrestle with how do we win globally, and how do we grow quickly and set ourselves up for success in a marketplace which is growing double-digit year on year throughout the globe. And just to give you some figures, so if we look at the UK market, for example, Oliver, which is a developed market in meat-free, at the moment it's 597 million is the meat-free category, growing at 30% year on year, and as there has been in double-digit growth since 2017. And you get similar figures in the US and around the globe going forward. So the key thing, or the key challenge for us as Quorn is around how do we do these three things well, which is have accessibility. So making sure our products are available in the high street, like KFC and Greggs in the UK. How do we make ourselves available in the schools, the food service segment, and also at home as well. So making sure our brand is present everywhere you look for meat-free. The second challenge is around affordability. So making sure you've got volumes, you've got scales, you've got the right cost structure so you can hit the right price points to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to try and eat your products and you don't become niche. And the final thing, which is so critical, is you have to have a great tasting product. And now the market is being grown by meat-free reducers and flexitarians. And they're looking at, and they don't compromise on flavor, texture, and also now the appearance of those products. So if you don't have the great product, you won't succeed in this marketplace. Now, what we have to do is actually put all that together and actually say, how do you win globally? And we know that the UK to Europe, to the US, to Asia, they have the regional preferences, the regional flavors. So the key there is how do you execute those great tasting products with the right regional preferences, the regional flavors to be successful as a global company going forward.
Just to build on that, Oliver, a couple of challenges I'd call in terms of how you run the water through the pipes. So great tasting products is absolutely paramount and important to us. And we want the consumer to be involved in that co-creation. And the pandemic for a lot of companies has often obviously made that challenging. Consumers aren't shopping in the same way. We can't bring them into site like we would do before. We can't bring them into central locations for testing. So we've had to pivot very quickly in terms of how we engage with consumers using virtual forums. We've got a set of couriers that send chilled product all across the country to get it into consumers' hands so we can have them hook along with us, feedback onto products. So I think, that's been a big change, a change that will probably stay, enable us to be much more agile, but it's one of the challenges that we've had to work through in recent months.
Great, very interesting. Thank you for those top level insights, and I guess some of those kind of move over to Roquette as well in terms of the challenges that you're facing, I guess, with regards to scalability, affordability. But yeah, really interested to hear more, Sergio, about kind of some of the challenges that you guys are facing as well.
Yeah, sure. And of course, Roquette has been in this plant-based space forever, since the start. And we have a leadership position in the plant-based space. We have been pioneering plant proteins. We have this experience that we are deploying. The interesting thing right now is that there is a food revolution coming, and it's really expanding very, very rapidly. Geographically, there's really the consumers that are pulling these products. And from our side, of course, we are a B2B company. What we do is we take natural products. We have our crops, and we enable those products to be used for consumers. So our challenge right now is really on the supply side, is having the scale to feed all those ingredients to enable this food revolution. And it's not only one crop, one product. It's the diversity. It's the geographical scope. So we are engaged in several $100 million euros worth of investments across the globe. In particular, in a plant in Canada, for instance, for plant pea protein. And this is really the challenge right now: is to take into account what consumers are looking for. It's really an interesting time to develop consumer products and enable them with our ingredients coming from our crops.
Great, brilliant. And I guess moving on, kind of segueing a little bit there, but Adam and Simone, what have you seen in terms of consumer behavior change with regards to kind of plant-based products? What have been the key drivers for product consumption? I know Simone, you mentioned around kind of the global pandemic. How has that changed how people are interacting with your foods?
I think massively. It's kind of turbocharged the change we were already seeing. So we knew about the rise of non-communicable diseases and people putting a greater emphasis on their health. We know that veganuary has just grown in appeal, and eating vegan is something that's really accessible and exciting, and people are looking for more diversity. But then if you add on the lens of the pandemic, which we have to add on, you've got consumers there who are really much more focused on their health. We've brought into sharp focus the importance of the planet. And also, if you think of a family, myself, I've got 3 young children. We've had 7 days a week, 3 meals. That's 21 meals times 5. That's a lot of food that is being consumed at home. And so consumers are really looking for ease. They're looking for great taste, and they're looking for the products that can add easily into their repertoire and are accessible. So if I think about the pandemic, it's brought into sharper focus that need, not just for health and sustainability, but for food that tastes amazing and is easy to add into daily life.
Great. And Sergio, for you as well, I mean, have you seen any kind of change in terms of, I guess, what your clients and the businesses that you're working with are asking for now?
Well, there is clearly a shift in priorities. I mean, we saw that with this pandemic, really health and sustainability. And Simone is absolutely right. The fact we spent all our time, most of us, locked down and cooking and considering what we are facing, it shifted the priorities. So yes, sustainability is a big thing. Was always a big thing, but now it's in the consumers' minds, in our minds, and the health aspect, the nutrition aspect of what consumers are looking for. And we are basically providing ingredients to B2B. We are not directly to the consumers, but we see this indirectly through all our B2B customers that really translate these trends into asking for healthy, nutritional, sustainable solutions. It's really a wake-up call that we are seeing, and we are adapting. We are providing solutions for that.
Definitely. And there's some really good kind of questions actually being submitted at the moment, which I'd like to get through. So Sergio, one for you was, how do you guys go about sourcing your agricultural raw materials? And I guess in terms of both, existing, but also looking at, adding new materials to your portfolio.
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's actually one of our key activities. We source our crops massively. We are really an enabler in producing ingredients from those crops, and we have this long experience in doing it. For instance, on corn, on wheat. Over the years, we contributed to development of varieties, special varieties. I mean, for instance, in corn, there's been the extra white maize that some of you might know, the amylopectin, the amylose rich, all these special varieties we have contributed to develop, and also the agronomic practices and all the work with the farmers to have the most sustainable outputs and for us our raw materials. And nowadays, you're absolutely right. The focus for us is with new crops, in particular with pea, with yellow pea that we are sourcing for our pea protein in particular. And there again, we are investing. We are working in collaboration with our suppliers. We are discovering new varieties which are more optimal in terms of the sustainability of the crop. It's already a very good, positive, sustainable crop, but we are still improving it. And then, of course, the agronomical practices with the partners, with the suppliers. We have, for instance, a protocol that we have with our suppliers, where we go through the quality, the crop protection management that they use, so that we really engage with them with that sourcing and have the best output, the most optimum output in terms of crops.
Great. And then in terms of, I guess, the flavor side as well, Sergio, again, and then I want to actually hear from Simone and Adam about this as well, is in terms of how do you work with flavor? Because a lot of some of these sources of plant-based proteins obviously have strong off notes and things like that. Is that something that you do in-house? Do you work with brands or, other flavor houses to then develop and to make sure that, these foods essentially taste really good?
Yes, and you're absolutely right. It's one, of course, of the critical aspects is the taste, the flavor. It's what consumers. It's one of the first things consumers will ask for, and we do all sorts of different things. The primary aim for us is that our customers have products that are great and acceptable for consumers. So we work with flavor houses. We work with internal recipes, but basically we work with our customers so as to make our products and their products the best tasting, with the best flavor profile possible.
Great, yeah, and then moving on, obviously to the Quorn focus point is how do you choose flavors that are going to go into products? When does this happen in the product development process? And do you use kind of data or tools to help with this to understand, what flavors the customer's looking for, what tastes best?
Yeah,
you go ahead, Mo. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a real combined effort between kind of my area and Adam's area where we really come together, because obviously flavor, taste drives delight. But I think it's really important that we think about flavor as a journey. As you taste a product, you taste any food, that flavor, expression of flavor changes through the eat, and we need that to happen. And flavor is really a composite of sensations. We often think about it as something that you sprinkle in, but it isn't. It's what taste is perceived by the tongue. It's the olfactory piece. It's the temperature and the texture all combined together to give you that unique expression of flavor. So there's a lot of work that we do to understand that journey, understand the different tastes that we want to impart. We have an expert sensory panel that we use to map that, and really work in symphony and cohort with kind of Adam's team through that development process.
And Oliver, just to build on that from a product design perspective, so a lot of people might not know online, but our main component of our products is called Microprotein. It's a fungi-based protein. One of the competitive advantages of this is that it doesn't have any off notes. It's actually quite flavor. It doesn't taste of anything, which is a great base to build your flavors on. Now, to answer the question about when do we consider flavor, right at the start, because consumers come back consistently say flavor is the most important quality attribute of our products. Now, how do we do that? We have to do that internally and with external partners. So we look at internally, over the last 12 months, we've just invested in a new culinary team. And some of these guys are vegan at heart, and they've worked in Michelin-star restaurants. So they really bring the culinary arts to developing those flavors. The second thing we've just recently developed is an internal flavor development team. And this flavor development team brings expertise in. And what their job is to leverage external partners, external flavor houses, to really develop the best flavor. And then it links all back to what Simone's saying about really using the right consumer sensory testing methodologies to make sure you validate and reassure going forward that that's the right flavor which is going to deliver.
Yeah, I think, taste is king. I hear it time and time again speaking with everyone, even if it's the most nutritious and sustainable products, people really just want it to taste good. So yeah, that's really interesting. And I guess the other part is obviously that nutrition piece. So I was really interested to hear, can alternatives actually match the nutritional profile of meat currently? And if not, when do you expect kind of this to change?
Yeah, I think we're phenomenally fortunate in Microprotein. It's an incredibly special protein. It's high in fiber, it's low in fat, low in saturated fat. It's got no cholesterol in it. And we know from the different studies that we've done that are published in a range of journals that our Microprotein is able to develop muscle protein as effective as protein from an animal source. So if you put all that together, combined with Adam talking about what a neutral basis is and a great expression of flavor, we've got a fantastic opportunity not only to deliver a protein that's behaving like a meat protein in terms of its muscle building. We've got that great advantage in terms of the fat being low, but we've got that ability to drive that expression of flavor, which is really, really important to driving taste. And I think just one last thing, Oliver, we all know that habits are what we need to create. So if you've got something that's healthy but it doesn't taste great and it's hard to prepare, you're not going to make that as a sustainable habit. So we're all about, let's create fantastic habits for the consumer, and that starts with having an amazing tasting food that then is nutritionally brilliant and is sustainable as well.
And Sergio, do you have anything to add to that in terms of what does P bring to the table?
Well, it's P, but it's all the plant-based space actually, and so we know that it's increasingly used as meat protein alternatives. There's a lot of products being rolled out. We see things like 10% of the meat alternative being plant-based in a couple of years. It's really accelerating, and with some forecasts that we see, it's going to be probably up to 30%, and it's going to take a little bit of time. But yes, the ultimate trend is that plant-based is going to increase, is going to be an alternative to meat, and it's going to be P. We are of course focusing a lot on P, but we believe in diversity. We are also rolling out fava, and we're not going to stop there. There's other interesting plants that bring proteins, that bring other properties, nutritional properties, taste properties, functionalities, and all this will help to just make it happen.
Yeah, that functionality piece is really interesting at the moment, seeing how we can unlock those new functionalities of different plants. And Simone and Adam, so you obviously have quite a broad range of options. What types of meat and or dairy are you kind of interested or considering at the moment?
Yeah, Oliver, it's a good question. I think it goes back to that first challenge. We want to be a global company. We want to win globally. So when we look at that, we've got over 100 products in the marketplace already today in terms of meat-free, which is a great portfolio to have. Now, if we look at globally, the kind of areas where we think we can win is chicken or poultry. So poultry has great global scale to it. That can be the native product, it can be the breaded product, but that has great scale. The second area, what we talk about, is what we call ingredients. So products where you have to cook or you have to prepare to put them into dishes. So these are things like mince is the classic example, meatballs. Again, these areas that have scope, have global scale and regional preferences around the globe. The third area is around what we call deli or delicatessens, is that these ready to eat slices or products which can go in sandwiches, salads, go on platter boards, etc., is a great area of growth and again global scale. Now we also recognise there are some regional types of areas we want to win in as well. So snacking on the go, snacking in home is growing exponentially year on year, particularly in meat-free. But what we recognise is snacking can't be done globally, it has to be done regionally. The classic example I give is a Scotch egg or a picnic egg or a cocktail sausage outside the UK, and many people online won't know what we're talking about today. But in the UK, it's huge as an opportunity. But what we know is that every country, every region has their own snacking variety, which can translate to meat-free well, but we need to do that on a regional level. The final example is sausage as well. The Cumberland sausage in the UK to the Frankfurter or to the Bratwurst is very different. And that's why we need to design for regional preference as well. But that gives you an idea and a flavour about the types of areas we want to grow and win as a global business.
Great. And Sergio, I guess from working with some of your clients and partners, are you seeing certain categories or, formats, different meats? What's kind of driving the demand at the moment?
Well, there's what's driving demand now, and all meat alternatives is an important thing. Dairy is an important thing. What we're really trying to enable is a new gastronomy, is really a new consumer experience. We are trying to enable, and this is the reason also why we're so excited with this challenge. We want to make sure that there's a new gastronomy, a new cuisine that will be enabled with this plant-based solutions. So it's consumer experience, it's taste, it's texture. I mean, we are really waiting for something that is dazzling and that will prepare the future. It's a very exciting time to be around in the food industry. So yeah, this is the journey that we are starting. We want to enable it, and we have the ingredients for it, but we need partners. We need innovators, and that's really what we are trying to do here.
Brilliant. That is perfect timing then to, I guess, move into the presentations and hear a little bit more about these Innovation Challenge, both of which are really, really exciting and kind of really on that cusp of what needs to happen next within this area. So Simone and Adam, if you'd like to kind of go first in presenting a little bit more about your challenge, and then Sergio, you'll be up next. So take it away.
Thank you, Oliver. Can you just confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for giving us an opportunity to present our Innovation Challenge. But I think the good place to start is that everybody online knows that we're in a bit of a pandemic when it comes to obesity, diabetes, heart disease. And there really is this turning point now that we need to really provide healthy food for people. And also, we also know the impact of meat having and high meat consumption is having on our planet and our oceans going forward, and these sustainability issues. So at the heart of what we do at Quorn is that we believe, and we truly believe, that every time someone chooses our product over a meat product, they're making a healthy choice for themselves, but also for the planet from a sustainability perspective. And this is at the core of everything we do at Quorn. Many people might be online is not heard of Quorn before or understand the history. And Oliver, you introduced us that we have been doing this for a long time. The first idea came in the 1960s by Lord Arthur Rankin, who said that he had concerns about global food shortages and he set out on a quest to find a new protein. In 1965, in a little village in Leicestershire in the UK, in a place called Quorn, where we got our name from, he found a fungi which he grew in ancient methods of fermentation to produce a high quality protein. And that's what we call microprotein. And this is one of our major constituents of our products going forward. And this is our unique selling point in the meat-free segment. It took us 20 years from 1965, from that discovery, to get our first product into the marketplace in 1985, with our savoury pie in Sainsbury's. So we really do consider ourselves as the pioneers, and we've still got the appetite at the moment to continue to innovate with our fantastic super protein, microprotein. Today we've served over 8 billion servings over 20 countries. And Simone mentioned it in one of the questions, but it's probably worth reiterating again about how fantastic this protein is, from not just from a health perspective, but a sustainability. So it's high in fiber, low in fat, it contains no cholesterol, and it's high in protein and contains all the 9 essential amino acids. But also from a sustainability perspective, when you compare it to beef, it uses 90% less water, carbon, and land. Now, also, you know, we've been around or making products since 1985, but just to show you some of those successes in the recent years, we talked about accessibility. And to get accessibility, we need to make sure on the high street in some of those quick service restaurants. And here you can sort of see that we've got Greg's famous vegan sausage roll. And also we followed on with other products like the steak bake, which is in lots of stores in the UK. We also can see that KFC, we developed a burger for KFC, their vegan burger, which has been hugely successful in the UK. But also what we can see around is that we are making deli slices. We've made nuggets in the shape of dinosaurs, which have just been launched in the last couple of weeks in the UK. And also hiding behind this, the icon here is around fishless scampi and also fishless fish fingers as well. We're probably the only branded meat-free company who can actually in the UK produce meat-free alternatives for the 5 top dishes in the UK going forward. But we have some challenges, and these challenges are not just unique to Quorn, but the category. We talked a bit about this through the question time, but here are some of our technical food challenges we're trying to overcome as a company. The first one is about improving the cooking experience. So how can we get our products to mimic meat-like products in the pan. So how do they get that sizzle? How we get it to become succulent, change colour, and really give you those cues that the product's ready to eat? The second area is around texture development, the bite and chew. How can we closely replicate meat in terms of the juiciness, the way it chews, and the way we bite it, and the way we swallow it? The other area is it's not just microprotein, but we are also looking at other novel functional proteins like pea protein to try and work together in a synergistic way to make new novel textures which are closer to the meat analogues and going forward. The other area is around shelf life, particularly in chilled. If you want to win in the chilled area, you need to make sure you have at least 30 days shelf life there to ensure that our customers, our retail partners, have enough shelf life to sell the product through, and the consumer has enough shelf life to take it home and use it in a timely fashion. The final area is around flavour development, and we always keep saying flavour is king. And we talked a bit about it in the question how we do flavour development, but this is a key area for all meat-free companies to crack. And how do we develop great tasting products and great flavour? And pass it on to Simone.
Brilliant, thank you, Adam. So I suppose the question is why this challenge and why now? We talked about this earlier, that poultry, white meat, is the most commonly eaten globally, and that's our real opportunity to have the biggest impact. We do obsess over chicken, turkey, poultry, kind of back at the ranch. And we really want to find a way to make the swap, the move for consumers to plant-free as easy as possible. Again, speaking to that, getting to habits that are easy and sustainable to hold. And we're really looking at as a company, but I think also as a sector, how do we get into those whole cuts? You know, that kind of celebration of the Sunday lunch around the family around the table. So we really want to be partnering with everybody at FFT to be thinking about what's that no compromise, whole kind of end-to-end experience for the consumer. And if we can do that, if we can crack kind of whole poultry, it really does help us improve the health of our consumers and the planet, one meal at a time. And importantly, I think anybody who works at Quorn will attest to the fact that we're very externally focused. You know, we're going through a time of unprecedented change. We're bringing in a lot of new talent, but we're looking to create an amazing set of ecosystems and partners to help us achieve our ambitions. So we're hoping by launching the Innovation Challenge here that we can get some really enduring relationships to help us, achieve these bold ambitions. So it's all about building capability so that we can deliver really delicious, nutritious food, that we're doing that continual improvement, that we're bringing in the right partners to work with us, and that the combination of our know-how and whoever wins this competition, that their know-how comes together just to create amazing experiences for the consumer. So where that takes us to is our Innovation Challenge. So we're really looking for partners to help us develop technologies to achieve a kind of whole muscle poultry food experience. So it's that realistic whole bird, muscle shapes, textures, flavors. And we know this is a big ask. So it's really looking for partners who could help us deliver a full product, but also really deliver on that kind of succulency taste that comes from different chicken meat, that helps us address the consumer's kind of job to be done, what they're looking for out of their product. We are obsessing about poultry, it's fair, but equally if somebody's got a brilliant idea out there that addresses other foods that consumers eat and lets us get closer to that whole muscle experience, we're really interested to hear about that. So that's our Innovation Challenge. I think as we come back together in a few minutes' time, we'll be able to talk more about what we would offer the winner. But hopefully that gives everybody a flavour of what we're focused on and what we're looking to partner against.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. That was really interesting, and I look forward to answering some questions more about that. Sergio, if you're ready, we'll get you up next.
I'm going to share my screen. Maybe Oliver, you can share your screen because
Yep, no problem. Just bring it up. Can you see it?
Yep.
Perfect. Just let me know when you want to move on.
Yeah, no problem. So thank you for this opportunity, and we really are on this to talk about the plant-based product offering for gastronomic experiences to the consumer. That's really the core of what we are trying to do. I wanted to, so next slide. I wanted to go through a little bit of what Roquette is for those folks that haven't had Roquette in the past. So we are a global leader of plant-based ingredients, and we consider ourselves to be a pioneer in plant proteins for food, nutrition, and health markets. And in the next slide, you will see that there's a whole areas of activity where we have been, where we are in food and nutrition, in pharma, in the cosmetics, in different industries, in the animal nutrition, and in all these markets, our belief is that nature has the answer to provide people with the food, nutrition, and health they need. So we have been since 1933. Working with raw materials like potato, corn, wheat, pea, and in some cases cellulose through our industrial sites to enable and really unlock these natural raw materials for superb ingredients for these markets. And of course, a lot has been done around innovation. You can see some of the figures there. We have R&D of about 300 people. 10% of our revenues are reinvested in R&D and capital projects. We have a very big stream of patents and know-how coming every year. Basically, we want to continue this. So in the next slides, we are going to talk more precisely on this plant-based revolution. Roquette is passionate about food. We have been in this plant-based space since the beginning. It's really the essence of what we do. But what we see is that it's really accelerating, and that we see, and that's the next slide as well. We see that from a plant-based food revolution, Roquette, and right now the focus on pea, we are in a sweet spot. We are a pioneer. We have had this experience of plant protein and research production for many years. We have a superb innovation pipeline with a family of 90 patents in the sector. And we walk the talk. We invest massively in the industry, €500 million over 5 years, including a 400 million investment in pea plant in Canada. So our ambition is to become the long-term leader in new plant protein specialities for human nutrition and offering this high performance and sustainable solutions. Performance, sustainability, nutrition around plant protein. This is really what our focus right now is. And in the next slide, you will see that this is backed by consumers. We are a B2B company. I mentioned this before. We support our customers. Our customers work for a very large array of consumers. What we see through our customers, but also directly through our customer insights, is that it's really rising, this plant-based trend. It used to be a niche, vegan, vegetarian, and it's now taken the world by storm. I mean, the compounded growth rates are amazing. I mean, studies vary, but 10, 12, 14%, and expected to reach 40 billion by 2025. Basically, all this is pulled by consumers. We know that, and we, as a B2B company, based on our crops, we want to enable this growth. We know that health, sustainability, taste, and trust is what's going to make this increasingly happening. In the next slide, you will see, and this for us is quite important, is that we are enablers. We give ingredients, we develop ingredients for all sorts of matrices. You can see here again consumer insights. They want to eat more plants, and they're prepared to do that in prepared meals, in meat alternatives, in cheese, in milk, confectionery, whatever. And really, what is of interest for us, Roquette, is to enable this. We want to give a chance to this food revolution to really help us to eat more plants and have a more natural and healthier options for the consumers, but for the planet as well. So, next slide. Our innovation challenge. In terms of our innovation challenge, in the next slide, you will see that we take quite a broad look at what we are wanting. Again, this comes back to the thing that we want to enable this food revolution, and we want to come up with new gastronomic experiences to the consumers. So if you look from a value chain and where we actually are, it could come from many different angles. It could come from varieties, from crops, from protein extraction and transformation technology. I mean, smart technology to have different properties would be of interest. But also, of course, and mainly, of course, the finished goods, the formulating and manufacturing of foods that consumers are going to love. So you can see that we are really launching this broad innovation challenge with one message: is surprise us. What would you like entrepreneurs in the food area to do to create as a future food market with plant-based ingredients and proteins? More precisely, in the next slide, we are looking to collaboration, innovation with product companies or technology companies developing these new foods. So again, you can really look at this very broadly and consider: is it going to help this new plant-based gastronomy? Will it come with differentiating something unique in terms of taste, texture, and give the consumer a new experience? This is going to work. It's going to work if the consumers are really prepared to experiment. So we have to help them. And using plant-based ingredients, we know, we believe, we are passionate about this, that they are better for the people, they are better for the planet. So we want to enable all this. So we will consider different companies, of course. We preferably more than just the concept. Again, let's be surprised by what the candidates have. If you are at seed stage funding level already, if you are using alternative proteins or plant-based ingredients, and then you can look at all types of different food and beverage categories. I mean, specialized nutrition, bakery, dairy, savory, meat analogs, beverage. We are really enthusiastic about what we are facing and what we would like to enable. So the next slide is really our last slide, and it's just to giving you again to those that would like to participate. I hope that whatever project you have, whatever product that you are envisaging, that you can see this as building a plant-based protein food for the future, and contributing to the sustainability of a plant-based gastronomy. So just insisting again, food format, different matrices, organoleptic properties, sensory attributes, plant-based proteins, smart use of technologies. If you think that you have something that would be valuable for consumers and that could, resonate with the health, nutrition, sustainability, of convenience of consumers, let us know. What we really are looking for is a dazzling array of new cuisines. So if you can surprise us, that would be great. So we're looking really forward to this collaboration.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sergio. That was fantastic. And so invite Adam and Simone as well to come back, and we can kind of dive a little bit deeper into these innovation challenges, what you're proposing in terms of a prize for the winners. But first, I'd like to understand a little bit more from both of your points, how you work with startups. So if I was a founder of a new venture, what is the process that you guys typically go through to vet that solution and then collaborate with early stage companies? So maybe Sergio, if you wanted to talk about that first.
Well, we engage, of course, with our customers. We have a long experience in customer relationships. In this particular plant-based area, I mean, it's emerging. So we have a lot of successful startups that we worked with from the start, and that now are billion companies already on the market. So basically, we collaborate. We consider the project. We work with the attributes of our products. We have application laboratories, which we use. We have the sensory panels ourselves, and we design products if it's relevant for the final matrix. So we really adapt to make the product a success.
Brilliant. And then from your perspective, Simone and Adam, are there any examples of how you've worked with startups in the past, and kind of what are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we're always looking for external partners or startups going forward. And I think the first thing is for a good partnership, you have to share the same values, the same behaviors, the same directions of where you want to take the business forward. So I think that's the first conversation around what is the startup company, what's the partnership, what are their values, what are their beliefs, how do they see the meat-free area going forward. The second thing is to explore each of its capabilities and knowledge and expertise, and making sure there's some synergies there, and actually we can complement each other. Because what we're looking for is to create this ecosystem of capabilities and skill sets. We want to be able to do things that we can't do ourselves, and vice versa. It has to be a mutual partnership and mutual benefit. They should benefit of us, we should benefit of them, to collaborate going forward. And then the second thing is then starting to get into conversations. The conversations will always start very sort of top level first, around what's your idea, what have you experienced before, sharing experiences. And then as we start progressing, then you start to get into sort of the confidentiality agreements, and then you start working down into true collaboration, where we always believe is that we should share capabilities, facilities. We should do it face to face where possible, and be very open and transparent, because that's the only way you're going to win and succeed in this.
Great, perfect. And I've seen a question come in. Do you guys look at solely kind of collaborating and using the technology to then feed into Quorn products specifically? Do you have kind of a venture model whereby you kind of just invest in a startup and let them get on with it?
It's fair to say historically, I think we've got two brands. We've got the Cauldron brand, which is the largest chilled meat-free brand in the UK, and we've got Quorn. I mean, historically, what we've done is we've partnered through using technologies and stuff to make products and brands underneath us. We've also done licensing. I think you've seen recently where we've done lots of licensings with partners out there as well, where we've just sold them our ingredient for them to use that ingredient in their applications and going forward. So I think the thing, Oliver, here is we're not ruling out anything. We're open to all opportunities. I think we just have to take it case by case, option by option going forward. What we know, Oliver, is this marketplace is exploding. It's growing so quickly. It's global. Is that the ways we work today or the ways we used to work yesterday are not the ways we're going to need to work going forward. And that's hence why we're here, open, it's challenging, and we want to hear all options and hear from everybody online around what they could bring to us and vice versa.
Yeah, and I'd say, just building on that, two of the big themes that we live with are curiosity and possibilities.
Yeah.
So that's always our mantra within research and development. So building on what Adam said, in that world of curiosity, in that world of possibilities, we're kind of open to a conversation to see where do these things go.
Yeah, very exciting. And then from the Roquette standpoint as well, Sergio, I know you got the Roquette Ventures side. What other ingredient startups do you consider for I guess both parts of the business?
Well, we do have Roquette Venture, so we have a venture approach as well. And actually, myself personally, I'm heading the open innovation at Roquette, and this is really actually also something new for Roquette, and it's realizing that the market, the innovation is exploding. We can't do it all ourselves internally. We are all learning on this journey, and so one of my responsibilities is really opening up, and I mean, my mantra is enabling the innovation of our partners, of our startups, and yes, we are open-minded. We will work with the projects. The venture side is also a possibility, but what really drives us is putting products quickly, accelerating quickly products onto the market, to the consumers. That's really what we are trying to do.
Fantastic. And so I'm also excited to kind of go into a bit more detail around the kind of the prize package that you guys are offering as well. Something that we haven't had specifically before in our future food tech innovation challenges, but we're really excited, obviously, you guys offering up some additional extras. So I guess, maybe Adam and Simone, if you wanted to first just talk a little bit more about, what will the winner get?
Yeah, sure. So I think it builds from what Adam said on that sense of, collaboration and partnership is part of our DNA. So we'd be really looking at working closely with whoever was the winner. Based on their company's needs, we'd be offering support in terms of marketing, regulation, innovation. There'd be the opportunity to fully leverage all our R&D capability, which would include our new product development, but also our culinary creation and a flavor creation team that Adam talked about, as well as our Quorn's consumer lab, where we could do that iterative design. As well as that, obviously, we'd be looking for the successful winner to be partnered through our media campaigns. And then we would be really delighted to offer coaching with one of our senior leaders, looking at a 6-month program to drive transformation in a couple of agreed areas. So a real intimacy of partnership is what we'd be looking to offer the winner.
Fantastic. That's what we love to hear. And just to be clear as well, because I know that Adam, you touched upon it as well, because you have your Microprotein product, but also are you looking for people who are using different proteins, and I guess are there benefits to combining, for example, pea protein with Microprotein for future products?
Yeah, Oliver, it's a good question for clarity there. So first of all, there's a few ways of answering this question. First of all, we have 2 brands. We have Cauldron, which is actually a plant-based brand, and as I said, the largest chilled brand in the UK. And we have Quorn, which is the major USPs around Microprotein. But even under Quorn, what we are experimenting and looking at is the synergistic impact of alternative proteins like pea protein and other protein sources going forward. What we understand and know is that to get into some more novel texture spaces, to mimic some of the meat like chicken going forward, is that we will have to play with other proteins and combine them together. Also, an interesting thing, Oliver, is that we want to start looking at the health benefits of microprotein and in synergy with things like pea protein as well, to see what the health benefits are. Because again, we're here to not just drive sustainability, but drive healthy choices for people as well going forward.
Great. It looks like there could even be a collaboration between Quorn and Roquette in the future.
Yeah, potentially. You never know.
Great. And then I guess the same questions for you. So Joe, firstly, you obviously focused on pea protein, but obviously other proteins in the space. Are you looking for a startup to be specifically using one type of protein? And then obviously, secondly, really interested to hear more about kind of the prize and the additional extras that you are offering to the winner as well.
Yeah, so on the first question, no, we will be considering everything that will advance the plant-based protein space and this food revolution. Of course, what in the package that we built for the selected company, we will start with giving access to our senior leadership. So it's sort of a sponsor support team that will be available for the selected company. And of course, we will bring our experience. Our experience, it's what we have, but we will consider anything that will advance this food revolution. So based then on the company's needs, it's really on the needs basis. We will provide marketing, regulatory. Very important point, the regulatory regional and corporate level, innovation, technology guidance and support at very senior level. We also, and this really then will depend on the project, but we also consider making this company benefit from our research and development capabilities. So sensory, analytical R&D, nutrition R&D, formulation development, all this will be considered in our sponsor support team and discussed. Again, what we want, the ultimate aim is to accelerate the company's access to the market. So it's really the fundamental point. Last but not least, and I think Quorn mentioned the same thing, with the awarded company will be showcased through our Roquette's media communication plan. So we will put the spotlight on this company and really ensure that they get the right attention for their launch.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's so exciting. I think it's really, really important for these startups and new innovators to have support like you're offering for this innovation challenge. So, thanks very much again for that. And just to clarify, Sergio, as well, is there any examples of kind of new gastronomic experiences that have come out before that maybe people can, is there an example that you can give?
New gastronomic experiences, snacks. I've been testing things where I really was surprised at the texture, and extruded snacks that use plant-based proteins, for instance. They really give you a sense of something different, and you wouldn't necessarily associate that with the old cuisine. So that's one example that springs to mind. But we have in the meat analog and in the dairy space also, and even in the cheese. And I mean, there are some examples, but again, what we're looking for is something new, something
surprise.
Really, a surprise.
Great, perfect. And then finally, just to kind of round it off, just wondering if you have any additional advice for companies reaching out to work with you. Is there anything that can, I guess, give them the wow factor? Any additional details before we kind of close out? And feel free.
I would say be bold and really be grateful to be at this point in the history of the food technology. And it's a beautiful journey to start. So be bold.
Yeah, I'd echo that. If you think about plant-based food, it's very zeitgeist. It really is of the now. It's about driving consumer delight. It's about making the consumer's choice be on the food that they taste, not the source of it. And so as much as we can look to really drive that consumer delight, kind of bring that unexpected joy in the eating, that's what we're really looking for here. So I'd echo Sergio on, let's go bold, let's go audacious, let's be tantalizing to those taste buds.
Yeah. And I think the final thing to add to here is that, look, the meat business is over 1.4 trillion. There's not going to be one competitor who's going to reduce meat consumption. We need every company to succeed in meat-free going forward. I've got people in my team who have been working for Quorn for over 30 years. They know how hard it is to crack this space. We've been here doing it since 1965. So we're here to help, to support, and generate healthy alternatives to meat going forward. So that's, we're here to help. If you just please come reach out with any ideas.
Brilliant. Well, that was a really, really exciting way to kind of end this webinar. And yeah, thank you so much, firstly, to the speakers, to Adam, Simone and Sergio for taking the time to share those insights, but also to set the scene for what is going to be a really, really exciting couple of innovation challenges for the June summit. So obviously for all of those watching, yes, our solutions tick those boxes of what they're looking for, and either of those companies would be lucky to have us. Well, you're in luck because you can apply. So if you just go to the Future Food Tech Alternative Proteins website, so that's futurefoodtechprotein.com, and there you will find a tab on the top of the page on the menu bar labeled Innovation Challenge. So you can click on that and then scroll down to the respective challenge that you would like to apply for and click to enter your solution. You'll then be asked to fill out a few bits of information about your company, why you're so amazing, and also attach kind of an executive summary or pitch deck. And then these will then be submitted to us, and then we'll work with Simone, Adam and Sergio to really identify those that we feel are most in line with what those solutions are and what they're looking for. We'll then shortlist 3 finalists to present on the 22nd. Of June, and so the deadline for that entry is May the 7th. So May the 7th, put that in the calendars, and then we'll also announce the finalists at the end of May once we've worked with those teams. Obviously, we'll do our absolute best to get back to everyone, but please do bear with us. Lots of applications are coming in, and we do really appreciate all of the time that you do use to kind of put into these applications. I know it's an amazing achievement to even start a business, let alone apply and go through all these motions. So, if you do have any queries about the application process, please email marketing@rethink-events.com. And also, this is also at the bottom of the application form, and we'll get back to you with any answers or guidance. So you'll be able to view this recording of the discussion in the next few weeks as well, and you'll receive a link to rewatch. So please do share with your colleagues, share with anyone that you think would be a good match for either of these companies or innovation challenges. And so to those that are all applying, good luck. It's a really, really exciting time, as all of these speakers have said. There's so many possibilities and opportunities, and we really can't wait to go through all of these submissions over the next few months. But that's it from us from now. And, thank you again, Simone, Adam, Sergio. Really appreciate the time that you've taken. Great to speak with you. Obviously to the Quorn and Roquette wider teams for fashioning these 2 innovation challenges, and to you for watching. So we'll see you all very soon, and good luck.